Hey team, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you're watching this and you're not part of the Internet Campus volunteer team, that's okay, you can watch it. Totally cool to check it out. If you got a couple minutes and you want to see what we're all about, that's great. But if at any time during this cast you're interested in helping out on our team, just email jayk@saddleback.com. That's me, Jay Cranda, and I would love to get you plugged into ministry. But this video is actually for all of our volunteers that are engaged in our ministry on various levels. You may be a chat moderator, like Mary, Joe, Shirley, I can think of Tom and so forth, that moderate different services for our 24 services that happen Monday through Sunday. Or you might be someone that helps us out on our blog, or somebody that helps us out on our Twitter account, our Facebook ministry, maybe our prayer ministry that we, the prayer requests that we pray over every week. Or we're looking at more for connections internationally, people that maybe are a country connector for Brazil, or someone for Norway, so forth. We're looking for country connectors, or maybe you're part of the response team. We're looking at growing that. People are caring for people. That's something that's very important to us. I want to say you can definitely join, and I also want to tell everyone that's watching this, thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. But pretty much all I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about is kind of to refocus and remind you of why we do ministry, especially why do we do ministry in general, and then why do we do ministry online. Because the reason why we do ministry is because of the Great Commandments and the Great Commission, Matthew 22, Matthew 28. And that's why, as believers, we're still here, that the church exists to do certain things. Well, what does that look like online? And that's a great question. And here at Saddleback, we have a very unique, specialized philosophy of ministry. And I wanted to share with our team, just keep on reminding you, this is what we do. And the idea is that I'm telling you this so that when you encounter someone in the chat room, or you talk to someone through email that you connected with during a service, or you become friends with somebody on our Facebook page, or you follow the same person through through a tweet that both of you guys were mentioned, that as you interact with people who don't know what their next step in their faith is, that you understand our process, you understand where to point them towards. Because when you interact with people, we want everyone to know, all of our volunteers, all of our community, what is the next step? Because sometimes our faith can get hazy and we don't know what we need to do. Well, we have a process. We have a system in place to show you. Now, it's not a perfect, clean, do this, A, B, C, and, this will happen. It's not like that. Sometimes becoming more like Christ is messy, and it's very personal, and it's contextualized for what's going on in your life, what has happened in your life. So these are just some guidelines and some resources that we've offered. So real quick, this is how it is. We see everything, we see it as a funnel. So the first way is that we have the community, people that have access to the internet. Because on the Internet Campus, anybody that can come to the Internet Campus, and obviously who can come to a physical campus, but talking to the Internet Campus volunteers, is anybody that can watch the Internet Campus service. And now with the new speed options, people can watch it with high internet speeds to low internet speeds. So the idea is that this is the community. What's the first step? Well, they come to a worship experience. They come to a service, 24 services right at this moment right now. In 2011, in September, we have 24 services happening. We know that's probably going to grow over time, but right now we have 24 services. And the idea is that we want to get everyone to a worship service. So if you know people, this is why Pastor Johnny and I always talk about, like this, tweet this, email your friend, tell people, we want to share what's going on online, and because it's online, it's very easy for people to check out. So the idea is that first step, get people to a worship experience. Let them experience Saddleback online. Well, once they're at the experience, what's the next step? Well, the next step as they are moving down is they make a connection. And what I mean by that is that they connect with, by filling out a response card to let them know that they were there. Meaning that if they just come into the worship experience and they took off, that means they're not interested in taking the next step, or maybe they're not ready right now, or they're looking at getting connected somewhere else, which is great, a local church. But on the Internet Campus, we're looking for them to take a next step in their faith by just making a connection with us, emailing us at internetcampus@saddleback.com, or filling out a response card, or commenting on our Facebook page, or sending us a direct message on Twitter. That the way once they make a connection, maybe it's through one of the moderators, in the services, that once they make the connection, we can point them to the right direction, that they've actually stepped out in faith and said, hey, I don't know who Jesus is. I don't know what my next step in my faith is. The idea is that once they make the connection, we can actually help them. We can point them in the right direction. So the idea, they watch the weekend. They make a connection with us by filling out a response card or sending us an email. And then once they send us an email, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get everyone plugged into community. Because the idea is that God did not create man and woman to be alone, that He created us to grow and thrive in the context of community, that we need to be surrounded by other believers. The early church, Acts 5, talking about they gathered in the temple courts on the weekend and then house to house, privately to talk about what's going on in their life. The idea is as church gets bigger, we need to get smaller with accountability, with small groups, and this is what small groups are. So the idea they need to get in community. The way they can get into community is that they can join an online small group. They can do online small groups, and we have people all around the world doing online small groups. The other way that they can do community is that they can start serving online with other people, which is a great way, as all you guys know, all my amazing volunteers, that serving online is a great way to get plugged into community. So they can get. We want to plug everyone into community, and then we want. This got to look pretty. I'm sorry. Then we want them to be balancing the 5 purposes in their lives. The idea is that everyone needs to be about the Great Commandment and the Great Commission. That they need to be about evangelism. They need to be about fellowship. They need to be about discipleship. They need to be about ministry. And they need to be about worship. And we consider those the 5 purposes for the church, and then the 5 purposes that individual believers, people who know who Jesus is, need to be living out in their entire lives. And balance is key. We can't just do one heavily. We need to do all of them, balance. We need to be able to do, in a year's time, hey, did we do all those evenly? Are we growing in all those areas? And living a purpose-driven life, living a balanced, healthy, biblical-based life is key. And the idea is that we have resources to help point you and help you in that direction. We have spiritual health assessments. We have resources that if you're really weak in discipleship, you can do Pastor Tom's Drive Time Devotions. If ministry's not, if you've done Ministry Week, maybe it's serving online, or maybe it's doing something locally in your community that we want to challenge you, no matter where you're at in your world, to serve your community. Maybe it's evangelism, so we'll point you to a blog resource or a message Pastor Rick or Pastor Tom or Pastor Buddy has done recently about sharing your faith with other people. Maybe it's heavier doctrine, understanding what are the core doctrines of the faith, that we have foundations or theology training online that they can listen to. But it's not just about one of these things, but about doing all these things. And ultimately, when it comes right down there, we want people to be balancing the 5 purposes in their lives. And then lastly, after they do this, they go. The idea is that they go and that they bring more people to go through this process. Is that once someone's in the core down here balancing, that they need to be reaching more people and inviting them to the worship experience so they can bring alongside. Now they're mentoring people along this process. So guys, next time you guys encounter somebody and they go, oh, what's my next step? I watch online, I don't know what I need to do. You need to invite them to a worship experience. You need to make them get connected to our team. By just sending an email or a response card, getting them plugged into community, into an online group, into serving online, and then ultimately balancing the 5 purposes. And if they connect with us, we can help in this process, or you guys can help. As the community grows, I want more and more of you guys, our volunteer team, doing this. So guys, I want to thank you so much for being part of the team. Continue to be great. I mean, you guys are rocking, and the Internet Campus is growing, thriving. Pastor Johnny loves you. I love you. And just to let you know, at any point, you guys all have my email. You guys can always reach out to me. I'm praying for you individually because I love our volunteer team. And I know the only way that we're going to continue to grow and accomplish what God has for the Internet Campus is through getting more people empowered. So if you have any questions, send me an email. But thanks for being part of our team.